Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the videos. I really appreciate it. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and talk about today. So before we get into these topics, do me a big favor. If you do end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, make sure you leave it a like. Really helps the videos out a ton. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. The first topic we're talking about has to do with Returnal, where Housemarque specifically talks about accessibility and the difficulty of the game, which is always something that I think people are interested in hearing about. So this is reading from Gaming Bolt, where they say in a recent interview with Kinda Funny, Returnal game director Harry Kruger talked about the importance of accessibility in game design. During the interview, he also clarified his stance on the lack of difficulty options in the studio's latest release. When asked about Returnal's unforgiving difficulty, Kruger started by saying that it's always going to be hard to find the perfect balance between a tightly designed experience and one that accounts for players of all skill levels and abilities. He says that there are never enough options when it comes to allowing more people to be able to experience the game. That's definitely always going to be an interesting challenge to find that sweet spot, he said. I think we can always do more and could always add more support for different ways to play the game and different control methods. I think when it comes to the difficulty, I think it is a question of what kind of experience are you having with Returnal. Additionally, he also talked about how Returnal's difficulty is part of its narrative structure, and allowing a player to easily power through the game would not only lessen immersion with the story, but also create ludonarrative dissonance. It feels like if you were allowed to just power through a boss without any challenge, or just go from A to B to C through the narrative points, it almost feels like it would create a bit of dissonance, he said. The game is telling you this is really challenging and you're overcoming these obstacles, but you wouldn't have had to experience that friction, so that's always a line to walk, but it's something we're going to keep in mind. And so I wanted to let you guys know what Harry Kruger of Housemarque is saying here when it comes to once again discussing the difficulty of the game. It is worth noting that they did recently add a co-op to the game, which people really seem to like, and that is certainly one way to help kind of mitigate the difficulty if you are stuck in certain areas, being able to kind of have somebody come in and help you. But I do respect a lot of what is being said here, because I've always said that I'm not against the idea of adding difficulty options to a game, but I'm also not at all against the idea of developers deciding that they don't want to add difficulty options, that they have a specific vision for their game and this is how they want their game to be, and they understand that maybe not everybody is going to be able to play or complete the game, and they're okay with that. I totally respect that as well. And so, I think that by them explaining that Returnal's difficulty they feel is very much intertwined with the storytelling, I think that's a pretty good reason as to why, they want to keep it the way it is and why they're okay with that. And so, yeah, you guys know I really enjoyed Returnal, and I'm always excited to talk more about it anytime we get the opportunity to do so. And I'm definitely going to be interested to see what Housemarque does next and whether or not they're going to kind of continue to go down this difficulty path where their games are going to have this type of friction in them, or if they are maybe going to change things up. We will find out eventually. We're moving on to the next topic, which talks about Naughty Dog seemingly recruiting for more Uncharted games. So this is reading from VGC, where it says a newly appointed recruiter at Naughty Dog has seemingly hinted that Sony is planning future Uncharted releases. On Tuesday, Christina Marie Drake McBrearty announced on LinkedIn that she had joined the studio this month as a primary recruiter. She said that they are scouting for talent at every level, and it's, quote, special being able to be building future teams for not only new titles, but for the legacy of Uncharted, end quote. Earlier this year, two Naughty Dog developers suggested the studio remains open to the possibility of making more Uncharted games. Ahead of Legacy of Thieves Collection's release in January, Games Radar asked Lost Legacy creative director Sean Eskag and game director Kurt Margenu whether Naughty Dog could develop a new Uncharted game at some point. I think we can say for certain that we can never say never, said Margenu, who also served as lead cinematic animator on Uncharted 4. Yeah, Uncharted is a franchise we love, that the studio loves, I love, and Uncharted 4 co-lead designer Kurt loves, he added. It's a world we want to see more of, so I can certainly say that. PlayStation's Visual Arts Service Group also reportedly wanted to make a remake of the first Uncharted game at one point, but the project was apparently deemed to be too expensive and time-consuming, so it switched its attention to to a remake of The Last of Us, a more recent release, which would require less additional design work. This is what Bloomberg reported last year. While still unannounced, the remake is now reportedly nearing completion and being led by series creator Naughty Dog ahead of a potential 2022 release. Sony has yet to announce Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection sales figures, but the franchise is seemingly riding high following February's release of the Uncharted movie. And so yeah, I have to tell you that for as exciting as this may be, it's also not that surprising. I never doubted that Sony and Naughty Dog would maybe want to do a little bit more with Uncharted in the future, especially now seeing just how successful the Uncharted movie has been. I think it's been far more successful than anybody anticipated. Sony Pictures CEO said that they're calling it a new franchise, which means they're clearly going to make many more Uncharted films. And alongside that, you have to imagine they want to try to get a few more games out as well. Now, which direction they're going to go in with future games, it's hard to say. And it's also difficult to say if this is something that Naughty Dog is working on right now. I want to say they're likely not. They probably have their hands full with finishing up the Last of Us Online game, as well as the apparent, PlayStation 5 remake of The Last of Us. Apparently, there's also going to be a director's cut for The Last of Us Part 2. And we did hear, even though we don't know if it's true or not, that they are working on a new IP. So yeah, if all of this does turn out to be true, they're doing a lot of different things right now. But when they wrap these things up and they finish these projects, you have to imagine maybe Uncharted is something that they may end up pursuing. So at this point, I'm going to leave it to you guys to let me know your thoughts about this down below. Would you like to see Naughty Dog work on more Uncharted games? It seems like they're going to regardless, but I'm just interested to see what you guys think of this. Like, do you want more Uncharted? And if so, which direction do you think they should go in? Or would you rather just kind of see them, retire it for a while and maybe not bring it back till, a much, much later date? The final topic I have for you talks once again about God of War Ragnarok, as we have a developer coming out and letting us know that the game is coming out this year in 2022 and is not being delayed to 2023. This is reading from Push Square, where it says God of War Ragnarok is still coming this year, according to animation director Bruno Velasquez. In a response to fans on Twitter, the comment comes after Cory Barlog issued an update yesterday to say the game is not ready to be shown just yet. This raised concerns for some PlayStation 5 and 4 players that the sequel won't be ready to release this year. While Cory Barlog explained Santa Monica isn't ready to show God of War Ragnarok just yet, he did say it'll be shown as soon as it's ready. Quote, "I guarantee you, the very second that we have something that we are ready to share, we're going to share it with you," end quote. With Velasquez's comments taken into account, it sounds like the next time we see the title, the actual release may not be too far off. And I had to be sure to let you guys know about this in more detail, because there was an individual on Twitter underneath Cory's update saying, "Bruno, reassure us that it will come this year 100% and don't show me anything at this point." And he says Ragnarok is coming this year. There is no way that developers, because this is not the first time we're hearing this from a developer or somebody close to the studio, there's no way they would be saying this if they were unsure that it was going to be coming out this year. I understand the concerns that are coming from fans and players based off of Cory's comments, where he basically said that they don't have anything ready to show. But I think what people are failing to realize is that anybody who has talked about the release of this game, we now have developers actually coming out here and talking about it, but anybody who is close to Santa Monica Studio and what's going on with God of War Ragnarok, we've heard literally nothing of a 2023 release. We haven't heard anything about a delay, nothing of that kind. In fact, everything we've heard from anybody talking about it who may know something about it, they've all said the same thing. It's coming out this year. It is targeting 2022, and it's not going to miss that target. I believe it. I mean, maybe it's just me, but when I hear a developer come out here and say this is somebody who is working on the game. They know exactly what state the game is in right now. I highly doubt they would be coming out here and saying something like this in such a way publicly if they weren't sure. Yeah, I feel confident in saying that all signs point to this game coming out this year. And even though Cory made it sound like yesterday they are still working very hard on it and they don't have anything ready to show, yeah, I'm sure there's some truth to that, but I have a feeling that this game is in its final stages of development, and I think people also need to understand that we're still very early in the year. There is plenty of time for this game to be shown off in a dedicated state of play, to be given a release date for later this year, maybe like September, October, November, something like that, and there's still plenty of time for them to ramp up the marketing up to that launch. So yeah, that's pretty much the update I have for you with God of War Ragnarok. That's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Again, leave it a like if you did, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.